What's going on, guys, and welcome to another episode of Tattoo Talk with me, Zeke, and Javier Antunez, Tattoo Theory.
Hey, guys.
Today we have a special guest. Soon as I heard who the guest was, I came up with a topic: branding and marketing yourself. So, ladies and gentlemen, here he is, Daze.
Hey, what's up, guys? Thank you for having me here, and thank you, Javi, for having me here too.
Totally,
man.
man.
On this,
I love you.
These awesome topics.
Yeah, I love you a lot.
Let's get have some fun.
No, it's gonna be a blast.
Let's do it, man. So, yeah, like I said, as soon as I heard Daze, man, that's what came to mind, because I know that you've pretty much made yourself. I mean, you literally made yourself. You're like, I don't know if a lot of people remember Cordell Stewart from the Pittsburgh Steelers. They used to call him Slash, because he was quarterback / wide receiver / special teams.
He wasn't a murderer?
So,
He wasn't a murderer?
/ murderer. He might have ended up that way, or you know.
No, sometimes that's how that goes.
I feel you. Ray Lewis. But I mean, I see him as the modern day Slash. I mean, photography, tattoo, modeling. I mean, I'm just gonna let him take over and just tell him what you do, man, and
Awesome.
Let's go from there.
Awesome. Yeah. So basically, my name's Daze. I started off cutting hair. I'm a barber. I do also modeling. I do photography. I do tattooing. I used to paint walls until I got arrested. That's a whole different topic.
That's a whole other episode.
That's a whole different episode. But the point being is that it stemmed all from my artistic skills, and then I took that into a different route, and then I used my arts into everything that I do now and turned it into multiple businesses. And then here I am.
I think the easier question to ask you is, what don't you do?
Porn.
Okay.
That's where you draw the line.
Yeah, that's where I draw the line, all right? You got to pay top dollars for that shit, and that is the #1 industry right now who's making fucking money. Can I curse on this?
Yeah. You're good. We're no holds barred on this one.
It's uncircumcised.
All right.
Yeah. We're no holds barred on this one. So yeah, man. So I don't know if you got any tips, pointers, anything that you could tell the guys out there that are because I've seen good artists and they don't get the followers, and they don't get, because I just think they're not branding themselves correctly and they're not marketing themselves correctly. Right. So do you have any pointers, anything that maybe you could share with these guys that can help them out?
I mean, the best thing that I could say, there are, like you said, there's a shitload of hidden gems out there. You know what I'm saying? There's a lot, you know. And then most people, what they do is that they look for the on social media or other simple platforms, they'll look for the ones who has the highest numbers or the highest ratings of whatever the case may be on that point. Just because they're the coolest, or whatever the hell, that means nothing.
No, dude, I'm never gonna forget. I remember one time I had a client that came into the shop that literally their whole thing was like the amount of followers an artist had.
Right.
Like it was nuts. Like literally they were like, oh yeah, this guy's dope, but look how many followers this guy has.
Yeah, that determines nothing.
Well, like a wise man once said, you could buy followers,
You could buy followers. You could buy followers, and that means nothing. So
nothing.
Who are you reaching? To these fake people. You know what I'm saying? And then obviously these consumers see these high numbers and it's like, oh, this person's the best because he has X amount of followers. It's like, yo, hold on, man. What about the quality of work? What about the personality this person has? Is he arrogant? Does he have a fucking ego? You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm more of a connection type of person and energy. So if I'm gonna go to a tattoo artist, I want to make sure that I'm relating with this
100%.
artist. You know what I'm saying? Not just somebody who's going to go ahead and take my money and just be like, yo, all right, whatever, thanks for coming. Get out of here.
It's gotta be
and that's a personal experience that you're going to take with you for life.
The rest of your life.
You know what I'm saying? It's on your body. So you want to have at least a good connection with the artist.
The same way the tattoo artist doesn't want to sit there for 8 hours with someone who they don't connect with is the same way a client doesn't want to.
Well, I mean, I've seen it
both
firsthand with Javi. I've seen him turn down a sleeve right in front of me.
Right.
Another artist would just say, come on, let me do it, take your money.
Right.
Dude, like I've said
He said
before.
no.
Yeah,
Like
he doesn't want to hold on to the headache.
No.
He doesn't need a headache.
Not only that, like I've said before, if I don't feel like I'm the best choice, I will tell you.
No, and he actually recommended him to somebody, which that's a whole other topic.
Yeah, the other artist
he
recommended
recommended it to
he's
somebody
not in
that
my
can do
shop.
it.
It's
Right.
I'm not getting a penny out of it. It's just it's what I know is right to do.
Yeah.
Right, of
You know
course.
what I mean?
You know, it's
If
like
the
I was
money
there that
comes
day and the
goes.
guy came in and wanted a tribal from you.
Yeah, and I'm not the best at trouble.
There's no possible way that you would take a tribal.
No,
When
no.
all your work
I
specializes.
mean, but there
Well,
goes
the way
you're
I
not
look
even
at it-
researching your artist then, because why
Well-
would you go to Javi if you want to get a tribal?
Well, I've never posted a tribal before, so it's
Right,
one of those type of
exactly.
things where it's like you're not finding the right person. You're not
exactly.
doing your research. But it's one of those type of things where I don't know, man. It's
Well,
it's
back
nuts.
to the whole topic of branding and marketing yourself. You branded and marketed yourself on the style that you do. So that's already branding and marketing. So people
right,
should come
right.
to you exactly for what you do, and if they
what
do,
you're known for.
exactly. So if they come to you for a tribal, then obviously they're looking at, which is okay for you for
what
the
that
numbers.
tells me is that I suck at branding. I suck at the marketing.
Well, not only that, it's just
Right.
that you did something good, and the work that you do is great.
Right.
So they're gonna come to you for a tribal because of Javi, tattoo theory, right?
Right.
But
it
because
it comes from a misguidance, so to speak.
right, which is what I'm trying to get at.
Right.
They looked at the numbers, but they looked obviously at the quality of the work.
Yeah.
Which
Right.
matches. It matches.
Yeah, I guess he figures, if he can do that, he can definitely pull off a tribal.
exactly.
Okay, but here, so this is the way I kind of look at it. So tribals and stuff like that, like those more simpler kind of designs and simpler kind of tattoos, I know I charge a lot of money. I mean, I'm more on the expensive
And
end.
I disagree with that.
But
I always tell you I disagree with that.
But I do feel like I'm on more on
No.
the expensive end. So it's one of those
No.
type of things where, like, if I know that
Your
there's
luxury,
another
bro.
artist,
Your luxury.
I don't see myself that
But
way.
yes,
I don't see myself.
I
that
want
way.
a Benz and I can afford a Benz. I'm gonna get a Benz.
Right.
You get-
I'm a cheap ass. So
know?
even if I could afford a Benz, I'm getting a Toyota. You
No,
know?
okay, you'll see. That's no.
You're reasonable.
Right.
You're reasonable.
I mean, for
My-
the work,
my-
I think you get what you pay for, guys.
But
Right, exactly.
But my thing though is, like, if it's one of those type of things where the quality, I know that someone else can do it the same way, type of thing, then it's smart, or it's the right choice for me to recommend them down that road. Like, it's the
Right.
good person route, so to speak.
well, obviously to your book
Yeah.
too.
Yeah, well, that's another thing too. It's like you're going to wait a year and then get the same quality as another artist can do. For that, I'd rather recommend you to the right artist.
Right. Especially
Yeah.
for somebody who's coming in
Right.
for something small. When
But-
your pieces are large scale and the caliber of work that you do, plus you're booked.
Right.
So, like you say, you guide them into the right direction.
Right, we try to guide them down the right road.
Right.
So what
Branding and
you
marketing.
would recommend in order for them to market themselves the right way is basically
Do what you know.
put what they know or what
Yeah,
or your style,
is,
what you're comfortable with.
Exactly,
You know
what
what
they're
I'm
I'll give you
comfortable
a
with.
perfect example with what happened to me. I always wanted to do realism, whether it be color realism, black and gray realism, whatever the case was. Basically, the way I started is that I found a friend that was down to let me do whatever I wanted on him, so long as it could be a piece I wanted to do. And I started pushing out more realism stuff until I eventually got more comfortable and started posting more of just realism tattoos, only realism tattoos. And now I've developed basically a brand or a market or a demographic for realism.
100%.
So now people really only hit me up for realism.
100%. Now,
So-
when we jump to Daze, he's been able to market and brand himself successfully.
Yeah.
On
in
all those different types.
all
of,
those different types of stuff. I
So,
mean,
like if you go to my
how
social
could you
media,
do that successfully on every platform? You know, I
'Cause
mean,
he's fucking
you're
Daze.
doing
He's awesome.
you're doing something. You're doing something right. You know,
I think so.
Yeah.
definitely. I mean,
But back to the whole branding and marketing, like we were talking about. So the same thing happened with me. You know, first I started off with when I used to do graffiti when I was younger. Like I said, I got arrested and whatnot, and then I took it from there. I was also cutting hair, and then I started doing a lot of designs. So designs, basically, when people hit me up and I do like all these dope ass designs, it's not that I have I don't copy anybody's designs. It's just whatever comes off the top of my head. So it's artistic freedom unless somebody comes to me with a certain image. The same thing like you, when somebody lets you they give you artistic freedom on whatever design, whatever tattoo it is that
Right.
you're gonna do. So I do the same thing on all those avenues. So when it comes to my photography, I have a style, and people recognize that style. And that's how I brand and market myself. You know what I'm saying? Everybody goes ahead and incorporates what it is that they like or what they want to capture or what they see or that image. It's all in here. Just
Yeah,
like
they do. Whenever I see one of your haircuts, dude, it's like especially when it's the designs and all that stuff, you don't even have to put your name, you don't have to put your business card, you
Yeah.
don't have to put any watermark. You automatically know that that's Daze's hair.
Yeah.
because I have, like I said, I created a certain style to it that people and people have used my designs, and I'm like, yo, hold on, this looks like mine. And then when I read the
also,
caption,
that
it's like,
happens in the haircut
in the
world
haircutting,
too, huh?
yeah, it happened to me a couple times. But then I read inspired by,
Oh, okay.
so they gave me credit,
Right, yeah. When they
Which
give
was dope.
credit,
because
it's awesome.
Yeah.
there's
Yeah.
people that
'Cause at
don't
least it
give
ties
credit.
back.
But I'm not gonna lie, I commented on it, and then he ran back and fixed the caption,
Oh,
Right.
okay.
inspired by it, and I was like, all right, cool.
Well, yeah, no, it's sometimes a little bit of an insult.
Sometimes
when,
it was like a little,
when they just kind of take it and don't say anything at all.
But
It's
the
like,
same thing
at
with my
least tie it
tattooing.
back.
With my tattooing, I feel like the style that I have is a mixture of everything. I mean, obviously, I love tattoos. You know what I'm saying? I'm pretty like, what can I say? Well-rounded.
Yeah.
In all types of styles, I think.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And I appreciate every single form
It's
of art.
like me, man. Like I like new school, old school, traditional, realism. I mean, I like the art.
So,
all of it.
so obviously, when I tattoo, I incorporated a certain style that I know how to do that incorporates my graffiti from when I used to paint, and then obviously too, I like surrealism. I like also too illustration. So then I have this weird and watercolor. So I basically blend a lot of different styles, and I don't know what the hell it is. I just have a certain style, and lately a lot of people have come to me for telling me like, yo, I like that. So I feel like I'm doing something right on that avenue.
They want to get dazed,
They
and
want a piece, and they want to be dazed and confused.
Exactly.
they want to be dazed.
So they let me do whatever I want, and those are the pieces that I've been taking lately.
Yeah.
Just the same way, people come to me and they're like, "Hey, I want my mom's name across my chest," and I'm like, "Nah, man, I don't do that. Go to, Fulanito who does letters, which mainly all the time I always send them to junk.
Yeah.
Hey, yo, go over here. This is my boy. He does letters. That's it.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I don't do letters. Unless it's a really close personal friend of mine and I'm including the letters into whatever piece I'm doing, then that's different. But like I said, branding and marketing, I branded that style in my haircuts. I had a certain image in my photography and then a certain look in my tattooing, and then obviously I model, like we were saying earlier, I do a lot of modeling and photography. So this is my image, basically is everything that I like. Hands, tattoos, my head, my feet, my toes, like my tongue, I got everything tattooed. My hair, I let it grow because that's what I like.
Yeah.
So you see me walking down the street, I branded myself. Yo, that's that crazy looking guy with a beard and dreads and tattoos all over the place. I see that guy running down 68th Street.
Yeah, I wish you could do the same thing with the hair.
Yeah, nice.
You could do the back part.
Hold on, man. Here, I got
you.
you,
Do the back part.
I mean,
let me tell you, it's rare that you mention.
It looks good on you, bro.
It does, right?
I'll tell you, it's rare nowadays that you talk to somebody and you mention Daze and that person has not at least heard of you.
Yep.
Well, I did. I mean, also too, I did a lot of like we were talking about. They call me for movies and videos and music videos. So that's why I came out in all these like hip hop videos because they need a certain look. Yeah. Like I did a show. I'm not gonna mention any names on the show, but they had to put temporary tattoos on these people, and I was like, "Well, hold on. This is a tattoo show, and you're putting temporary tattoos."
It's like, whoa. There's plenty of people to choose from,
right? But I'm glad I was on the show and everything was real. Right. So I was just like, yo, here I am.
Yeah.
You guys needed me. I'm glad that I was able to fit those shoes.
Nice.
But branding and marketing, creating a style. Now, as far as like, let's say creating a brand for yourself, like first you have a name. You create the name. My street name as graffiti was always Daze. You know what I'm saying? I can't tell you my real name because if not, I have to. Secret, all right? But then from there, you create a logo. Just like Javi created his brand. Javi go ahead and created his logos. You know what I'm saying? And then from there, we evolved from there.
How important is it to have a logo in order to brand yourself correctly?
So it's very important to have a logo for yourself because you basically want to subconsciously engrave that image into people's heads. Like what we were talking about with Nike earlier, the check.
You know what? I agree so much with you. Not just because I have you here, I swear. Even when I go to conventions, but I was at a convention and I saw these skull candles. And dude, the first thing that comes to my mind is, fuck, Javi would love this. Right. Every time I see a skull, it's like, and that's, it is true.
Right. So that plays a very important role in branding and marketing. You know what I'm saying? Like I said, back to Nike. Nike's one that's done it so many times. They could just put a billboard with a Nike check on it and they just write the words, just do it.
Yeah.
No, and sometimes
three lines of Adidas. Everybody knows that.
No, and let's say for example, and it's not hard to really do in a sense because let's say for example you have a certain name, whatever the case is. There's imagery you can get out of words.
Right.
I mean, like with me with tattooed theory, it's like for me what that represents is theory and ideas and thinking. And just kind of like just digging your brain into things. Right. So with the word theory, instantly in my head came the idea of a brain.
Right.
So it's like that's why I always attach a skull to it because I love skulls.
Right.
I can never get tired of skulls. So it's like, that's why like my logo is kind of like, the head with the brain inside of it, that type of thing. However designed and stuff like that, which is another thing too, the evolution of logos.
Of course.
And like, as you evolve yourself.
Yeah, you got to rebrand yourself.
You got to rebrand.
Because sometimes it's basically like, I forgot what other company did it that they had to rebrand themselves, but whatever. You basically, after all these years, you learned. Mm-hmm. You learned through all these steps that you took and probably is like, well, how can I take it to the next level now? So now you rebrand yourself.
Well, like for example, like all your business cards.
Oh.
I mean, you have basically like every evolution of your career.
I have like four
as a barber. Yeah, dude, it's nuts.
I think times change too, and you need to change sometimes.
Yeah. You got to change with it.
Stay relevant.
Right, you got to stay with it at the end of the day because
here you go.
You're always changing yourself. It's you never want to stay stagnant.
3-4 business cards.
Check that out, guys. He's gone through all those business cards.
I mean business, baby. I mean business, all right? So here was the first one that I did, you know, obviously showcasing my work. I did the graffiti. My cousin did this for me. I did the haircuts to showcasing what I do, my designs. And then the second one was this one, me cutting hair.
Yeah, and that's when you develop your logo.
Then I started developing my logo. I love skulls too, right?
Never go wrong with skulls, man. Yeah. You really can't.
So this logo for me was more like a seal, like a king.
Okay.
You know, when they seal the wax.
Yeah.
So that was it was a skull with my name printed on my forehead. And then from there, it was the same thing. The straight razor was my blade. That's what I used to do the designs. And then from there, it was just cutting hair on my info in the back.
Right. And kind of like what we were saying about branding and like your look and stuff like that, you can see it in your business cards where your look almost becomes part of your logo.
Yeah, it's definitely a big evolution. You know what I'm saying? From here, I didn't know. This was my first business card.
Yeah.
I didn't have a picture of myself. It's just Edward Scissorhands because I have it tattooed on my neck, and obviously he was misunderstood and all that stuff. So I related. So I could relate to that. So obviously people in that world who know about, like, I'm a big Johnny Depp fan. I love Tim Burton. Everything about it was so perfect. So obviously there's people who could relate to that. And obviously they eye-catching. Oh my gosh, Edward Scissorhands. Oh, I love him. Yeah, me too.
Right.
So now I just gained a customer. I just gained somebody because of the business card. Because I attracted them to. Then from there, it was just showcasing what I do. That's when I was like, all right, let me change it up a little bit. Let me not write off the Edward Scissorhands here. Because I don't want to be known for stealing or...
Well, that or they start calling you Edward.
Exactly.
Yeah, I mean, that's another thing too. You gotta be careful how you brand yourself and what you choose to brand yourself with.
Right.
Because it could come off wrong.
Well, yeah, you might accidentally connect yourself to the wrong thing.
Yeah, definitely.
You know what I mean? Or even a wrong industry altogether.
Yeah.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, there's been plenty of times where, like, I'll see somebody like follows me and it's a tattoo artist, and you can't even tell because it's like, all right, first your name doesn't say
anything about tattooing.
Even relates to what you do, which you don't really necessarily have to, because once you get far enough in your career and like your branding has worked enough and stuff like that, you can pretty much just say your name and call it a day.
Yeah.
But kind of like how your business cards are.
Perfect
that
example.
Takes time.
Perfect example. Leading back to social media, which that will be an awesome topic that we can get to later on. But just a little briefly, my Instagram name or social media on all platforms was Fades by Days. Because that's how I first started off, cutting hair, before I got into tattooing, modeling, photography, and all that stuff. So there's people who knew me. Obviously, you know me as Days, but what I did was Fades by Days. But then there's people who follow me because of the work that I did. But then it got to a point where I wasn't really posting my haircuts anymore because that's not what I want to be known as.
You had to get more general, actually.
Right.
Because you did so many different things.
So then I did the transition, like we were talking about evolution, changing. So people in the streets, will call me, "Yo, what's up, Fades?" And I was like, "Yo, hold on, that's what I do. You don't really know me then. My name is Daze." So then that's when I changed my name now on,
you know what's funny though?
On social media to IamDaze. Why? Because everything that I do is what I do. This is who I am.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, so but that's another thing. Back to branding and marketing. Your name on social media.
Yeah.
Don't use underscores and numbers and stuff like that, or don't like.
Well, it's hard to search. Because some people forget.
That's.
You know what I mean, don't get me wrong.
Somebody right there.
Don't get me wrong though. Mine is Javi_tattoo theory.
Right.
But I wanted to also separate myself a little bit from
which is
the
okay.
shop.
But there's people who use underscore 0319 no sé qué cosa.
Right, which is important because
this isn't AOL anymore.
Now here's another thing too we can definitely kind of like tap into is the whole, like, okay, let's say you're a tattoo artist or the case is, and you're working under a shop. You know what I mean? It's good to kind of have that family orientedness of like, okay, like this is a team, we're part of a team, but it's also important to brand yourself.
Actually, that's a great question. Yeah. So, what's a good way to brand yourself individually out of a shop?
Well, one great way, kind of like the way I did it, where it's Javi_tattoo theory. It still ties back to my shop, but because my name's in the front of that, everybody knows. Okay, this is Javi.
Correct.
You know what I mean, type of thing, and he's part of Tattoo Theory.
Gotcha.
Or owns Tattoo Theory, or belongs to it, whatever the case may be.
Right, the entity.
But it's like the entity itself. It kind of like ties it back. And I've seen a lot of like tattoo artists do that too, where like they'll say their name and then like it's the shop name next to it, which is a really nice way of unionizing the actual studio itself with it amongst the other artists, which is fantastic. But it's also
a good way, which is a good way to do, especially when you're incorporated with the shop.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So back to like how I did it was. The shop itself, like that's why I have so many different business cards. But the shop itself provided me with business cards. Obviously, I would hand those out. But when I was out in the streets or whatever it is that I was doing or someplace, the business cards that I would hand out were mine. Still has the info. I just never. I personally didn't link it so much to the shop unless I was in the shop. But when I was out, I'm branding and marketing myself.
Yeah, of course.
So then I'm the one out there doing that. Instead of paying somebody $50 to go in the middle of the street and hand out flyers, I was the one that was doing that to myself.
At the same time, you kind of almost have to, because let's say, for example, you only have the shops cards.
Right.
Then this person, let's say, for example, you're at a bar or
you go back to just being the fake guy.
I had a situation once where I was at a bar, and this is a long time ago. And I was at a bar, and I was talking to this one dude about a sleeve that he wanted to do.
Right.
Yo, I spent like 2-3 hours talking to this guy about the design, really trying to work it all out and this and that. I gave him the shop's card. I told him, all right, dude, come by the shop tomorrow, like around 6. I'll take care of you. We'll get it started. He came earlier, and the boss was already tattooing. Because I didn't give him my card, I gave him the shop's card.
The shop's card.
You know what I mean? So that's another thing, too, where it's like, I get it where, if you're part of a shop, be a part of the shop.
Right.
But also be careful on how you kind of go about that, because you could accidentally throw your business away.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? At the end of the day, it might not work out wherever you're at. So you want to make sure at least your grounds are covered.
Right, exactly. So back to the whole thing of I had different cards. I've always done that. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. But that's a good point too, because
once I opened up my own shop, I didn't have to.
You didn't have to worry about that.
Yeah, because at the end of the day, it's like whether you come to me or my shop, it's still me.
Yeah. So we're talking about marketing, branding yourself. Guys, don't be afraid to put your logo, like we were talking, on everything. Even if you think you're getting obnoxious, don't. It's going to get to a point, and you guys correct me if I'm wrong, that you won't have to do that anymore because you did your job.
Yeah.
You busted your butt.
Yeah, you
busted
earned it.
your ass.
You earned it.
Putting that out there, and people now know who you are.
No, and to be honest, dude, you got to whore that shit out.
Yeah.
You know what I mean, it's like put that shit
100.
on stickers, on hats,
Everything.
on shirts, everything you could possibly think of. And if it's part of promoting yourself or your shop, like that, where it has your name all over it, dude, get the shit away for free.
Yeah.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's just promotion. It
still,
ties it
it's
back.
still marketing.
Damn right.
It's promotion and marketing. You know what I'm saying? And
Yes.
you got to see it in so many aspects. Like, every big companies do it all the time.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? You have McDonald's. What's their slogan? I'm loving it.
Yeah.
As soon as you hear it, you just know already. You have the arch of the rings.
Yeah.
You have most in your mouth, not in your hands.
M&M's.
M&M's. Right. You know what I'm saying?
Just do it.
Just do it. It's Nike. Well, I haven't done that one yet. Well, I have secret files, and those are worth a lot.
Brazzers.
Yeah. But back to the branding and marketing, you got to put that everywhere. You got to put it in everybody's face. You know what I'm saying? Look at, like, perfect example, McDonald's. When you get a burger. I don't eat McDonald's anyways, but this is back in the day, so just to throw that clear. That has the M's everywhere. Well, you know, Taco Bell. Taco Bell.
Yeah,
You know what I'm saying?
everybody. If you really look at it, all the big major companies do.
All those big companies,
throw that in your
they
face
did that
all the time.
So that right there is a perfect example of how we should treat ourselves as well.
Branding and marketing. And it's not only just in brands, but you could also look at it as, like, perfect example, Master P. When you heard him say,
You'll know who it is.
that's it.
Yep.
That's it.
That's an artist.
Well, dude, and the other thing also is, I get it where, like, it can sound repetitive sometimes when you promote yourself so much, but it's at the end of the day, you're respecting your craft, you're respecting yourself.
It's not only respecting, but you're also showcasing who you are.
Yeah,
That's who you are.
You're putting in work at that
If
point.
you're free to do that, and you're free to showcase who you are, then obviously people are going to gravitate towards that because they're going to notice that from you. They're going to be like, yo, all right, this is who he is.
Dude, like the saying goes.
I like that.
Right.
You know?
Like the saying goes, if you don't feel confident in whatever the case is, but you know you want to be there,
Right.
fake it till you make it, until you eventually do. And there's a reason why that saying is as popular as it is. There is a sense to that.
Right,
You know what I mean?
right.
Where it's like you once you exude that confidence, even though if you're scared, to like promote over the case.
Yeah, and some people make it and then they fake it.
That happens too.
You know,
that happens
fake it till you make it,
But
and then you make it,
once-
then you fake
once
it.
you
But
kind of get there, like kind of like when I was doing the free tattoos and all that, my buddy used to kind of get to the realism part. That's to me is kind of faking it till I make it, because I didn't know what the fuck I was doing.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Well, the same
Until
thing
I
when I did
did.
designs, when I did haircuts. I mean, man, I banged up a couple haircuts.
That's how that works.
But hey, I fixed
start
it later
somewhere.
on, and we figured it out.
Yeah.
And throughout the years, some people are gonna get discouraged by it, or they're gonna get, like I've done barber competitions where they'll try to do a design and they feel like
scared to.
Yeah, or defeated that they couldn't do it.
There's growing pains.
But I wouldn't
in
be
everything.
here. I wouldn't be here who I am today if I would have stopped back then.
Yeah, if you don't take that
100%.
first step,
Yeah.
you're never going to do it.
Exactly.
Just give up already, because if you're not willing to take that first step to do all these type of things and all that, it's not worth it.
Another
worth it for you.
Another thing I like to say is also too is the passion about it, the passion you have behind it. Some people take on these. Oh, I want to be a barber because I want to make a lot of money. If that's your motive, then you're not gonna. Yeah, it'll bring you the money. That's
But
fine.
it won't take you that far.
But it won't take you that far if that's all you have in mind. If that's your motive.
I think
from the beginning.
motive is big.
Yeah.
Because I think if you're not in love with what you do, you're not going to put out your best work.
Exactly.
All right, so here's a good one. Online etiquette when it comes to marketing and stuff like that, as far as like social media and all that goes. One thing I've seen a lot happen
Being professional.
is either lack thereof or like just professionalism altogether.
Right.
You have to be professional when it comes to like, your marketing and stuff like that. Don't use marketing and social media and things like that only to get your dick wet.
Right.
I mean, that's not the point. The point is not to find like, the next five girlfriends or boyfriends, whatever the case is.
Well,
it is a business tool.
And that is the thing
You gotta
too.
be careful with that line when it comes to doing that, because it's not hard to cross that line.
Right.
You gotta try really hard not to,
Because
that
what
will
happens
fuck
is
you up.
your etiquette, exactly. Your reputation will
gonna fuck your
it will just
reputation.
fuck you in the long run. And you thinking you're all cool.
And all that
because-
work that you just did about
Will
putting your
just-
logo out and putting on business cards and
That's it.
stickers.
Now
and
you
all that
branded
stuff.
yourself to being that dick.
Yeah.
Now you're that asshole.
Now you're that dick. Oh, I know
Or
that.
that creep.
I know that guy. Fuck that guy.
I mean, we've seen that a lot on TV lately, especially.
No, the worst one as a male in the tattoo industry or photography, all that, is to be a creep.
Yeah.
The last thing you want to be is a creep.
Is a creep.
Because guess what's gonna happen? It's not only girls you won't tattoo anymore, because guys will end up hearing that shit too.
Right.
And obviously they don't want to be related to you, because then they're gonna feel like, okay,
Because they're afraid that you're going to touch their ass.
well, birds of a feather flock together.
Right.
Well, possibly that's you.
Possibly.
Possibly that's you. You never know. But birds of a feather do flock together. So it's going to be one of those things
you're
where
right. You're
another
absolutely
male
right.
won't want to be associated with you because they're going to feel like you're a creep as well.
Absolutely.
So that's another thing too. Be very careful when you use these tools.
And also gossip. Because
gossip
word
becomes a
spreads,
thing.
you know what I'm saying?
And
It's
fast.
Very fast. This is very, very small world. Being professional. Being professional in everything that you do, because like what we were saying is you can make or break your business there.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So back how we were saying about all the branding and marketing you just did, you're gonna have to revamp all over again.
And it may not
you're
even
gonna be
work.
a born again Christian.
And it may not even it may not even work.
It might not even work because
Right, because
because your reputation is gonna follow you.
Yeah.
Right. And if it's a dirty enough of a stain, it doesn't matter how many shirts you put on. That shit's on your skin.
Yeah,
It's
just gonna stain you again.
definitely.
Yeah, so you
even
gotta be-
rebranding yourself might not work.
You got to
Yeah.
be very professional. Obviously, too, is how you reply to certain clients. You know what I'm saying? How you interact. You know what I'm saying? Obviously, to a certain point. Obviously, you can't let somebody try you either. You know what I'm
No,
saying?
and the other thing, the other thing also
At
is
least
too,
that's me. I'm
But
now
we are-
talking hood
I
mentality.
mean, we are we do, which helps us sometimes, but sometimes we got to put that hood mentality aside, because at the end of the day, we are in the customer service industry.
Right. But not only
We're
that, it's
catering,
because now
you know?
people just want to interact with you.
Yeah,
Because I get that sometimes
definitely,
too. Sometimes I
definitely.
get people that hit me up on a DM because, oh my gosh, I didn't think you were going to reply to me. And I was like, yeah, I am
exactly.
replying to you. I'm a
Yeah.
real person.
Yeah. Right.
This isn't
Yeah.
somebody else.
It's not a bot.
This is
Agreed.
not a bot. This is
Agreed.
real life
Yeah,
right
yeah.
here. So what is it that you want? You know, if you want small talk and chatterbox, I'm not that guy.
Yeah.
I'm here to talk business. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Now, obviously, if it's something like that I can help you out with, then I'll help you out to the best of my ability. You know what I'm saying? But there are some, you have to be professional about it, because then there's sometimes, hey, I hit you up, he never hit me back, he never
sometimes-
replied.
Yeah,
Or I wanted to get a
that
quote,
guy,
and he
he's a
never
dick,
he
he
never
never
got back to
replied
me.
to me.
You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? So I understand
No,
how
don't
you,
get me-
because
don't get me
you're
wrong,
tattooing
there's
for most
times-
of the time of the day, hours.
Right, and there's times, dude, where like, don't get me wrong, it's the best thing to do is to be on point with your replies and stuff like
Exactly.
that.
I mean,
'cause
like
you never know
like
where
we
it
were
might
saying
come
earlier,
from.
like even when you turn down a tattoo, there's a nice way of doing that.
There's a nice way to
You
do
know?
it. You recommend them to say,
I don't do that shit.
Right. Fuck out of here with
Get
that.
the fuck out of here with
What I
that.
look like.
Right, you don't want to do that. You know what I mean? Because at the end of the day, that does reflect on your reputation and on yourself. So you want to be careful with that. It is always good to reply. And don't get me wrong, there's times where like, with tattooing all day and stuff like that, I'm a scatterbrain.
Right, of
There's
course,
times
that's
where
what
I
I'm saying.
forget. And dude, there's been some times where I'm not even proud to say it. There's been times where like I'll look through my emails and I'm like, oh my God, this is 3 months ago. I forgot to reply. Oh. And it's like, it gets like all my spam starts coming in. And I'm
You
like,
just reminded me, I got to reply to this person that just hit me up today.
You mean the one that hit you up like 2 months ago?
2 months ago. I
Yeah.
forgot. I totally forgot about it.
Yeah, I
get back
promise
to
to
you
reply
later.
back. I promise.
But yeah, so you got to be professional on that. You got to be, it's getting your priorities straight.
Right, exactly.
That's how I like to say
100,
it. Because some
100.
people will get that clout and they'll be like, oh yeah, because I'm the best and all this bullshit and whatever. Like, he's got to, like, nah. Like, yo, you got to be professional about it, because put yourself in that in that situation.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, yo, I want to get tattooed from this person. And I know because I tattooed. I know because I've been tattooed by several different artists. So I know he has a long waiting list. But if he's a dick with me, then I don't want to get tattooed by
You know
you.
what?
Yeah.
I'm on the same boat.
Your work is great,
I'm on
but
the
your
same boat.
personality is
Well,
garbage.
dude, there was one tattoo artist that I've been dying to get tattooed by until I found out he was a Nazi.
Oh.
And then I'm like,
So what'd you get?
No, nothing.
Like
Nothing. 'Cause it's one of those where I'm like,
I'm a really big fan of a certain athlete, and somebody told, actually not somebody, a couple of people told me he was a dick, and I'm like, like I don't even want to hear it.
Right.
Don't tell me
Right,
he's a dick,
right. You
please.
wanna experience it for
'Cause
yourself.
I don't know him.
But
no,
this ties
in
back.
my mind,
But this
he's
ties
still
back
this
to the
athlete,
whole
you know?
reputation thing.
Right.
Yeah.
This is where reputation is important.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Now, don't get me wrong. If you're a piece of shit, it doesn't matter what you do, it's gonna come out.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's like if you're one of those, you're fucked from the fucking get.
Right.
But it's one of those other things where don't ever let a slip up happen that can possibly tarnish you.
And bite you in the ass in the long
Yeah,
run.
because and don't get me wrong, we're humans. It happens. We fuck up.
Right. You got to build your foundation
Right.
so your kingdom doesn't get destroyed.
Exactly.
So-
exactly.
Don't shit where you eat.
Exactly.
Yeah. You know what I mean? You might poop or fart every now and then, but you
don't take a shit.
Just wipe your ass right after. You know what I mean? Take care of it.
Or step on frogs every now and then. Inside joke. You guys will get it later. You guys will get it later.
Yeah. If you don't smell it later, you don't smell it.
The scratch and sniff video. But yeah, back to being professional and stuff like that. Don't be farting around your clients either.
Oh, sure.
Now, but
I've tattooed you a few times. You know that happens.
now,
sometimes.
if
it's
your
really
client,
hard to hold on.
how do you feel when your client farts while you're tattooing them?
If it's not in my mouth, it's fine.
Yeah.
So I got a question, goes both ways. In the barber community and in the tattoo community. So when you first start off, what do you got to say to those guys that are not that good yet? They're just starting off, and they see these guys having all this success around them. What do you?
Right.
What could you tell them? You
Where
know?
they feel kind of like they're like stuck, like they're not really
Yes.
getting out.
Yes.
To be honest, it's one of those type of things where you just got to keep going. You just got to keep trying
Yeah.
at it because social media and online and stuff like that can be such a fickle thing sometimes. Where it's like sometimes there's a wave that you can ride, sometimes there isn't. It's almost a little bit luck based when it comes to online. So it's one of those where you just keep on pushing, try to keep pushing yourself. And
I mean, what I would say is just don't give up. You know what I'm saying? Like the greatest never gave up, so that's how they became the greatest. You know what I'm saying? So I think that if you keep going and going, if you keep going for it, you know what I'm saying, your time is gonna come. If you just stop halfway all of a sudden, you never finish. You just basically came to a race, you ran. You go to a 15-mile race, you ran 2 miles and you gave up. It's like, you know, your mind is set on actually completing this. So don't give up on that. It's going to take you time to finish it. Doesn't matter how long, but as long as you keep progressing from
You'll
there,
get
you
there.
keep evolving
No,
to
and
it.
not only that, it's like, you know, when you include kind of like social media into it and the whole thing, and when it comes to the algorithm, but to be honest,
Yeah.
dude, that right there
Fuck
is a
the
whole,
algorithm.
Well, that whole social media though, that's a whole other video.
Yeah, that's a whole
Well,
that's a whole different
what
ballgame. That's a
what
different
I-
animal.
What I have to say
we-
really quick about that actually, about the
Social
artists in the store still, is I think that you can use that as a positive, man, because you want to be as good as that guy. So
Right.
take time and learn.
Yeah,
You
no.
got this amazing artist sitting next to you, then why not use that to your advantage, right?
Well, always for sure learn. But,
Yeah.
but like I
Learn.
said,
Don't stop learning.
But the next thing for sure we definitely got to talk about is definitely social media. But like I said, dude, this video is already long.
Guys,
as it is.
yes.
So it's
Social
like,
media.
That's gonna be a whole other ball game right now.
That's going to be a hold on the ball game. Guys, stay tuned for the second chapter to this podcast. It's going to be on social media. It's going to be me, Zeke, Javi, and my man Daze again. So stay tuned. Social media, next topic. If you have any questions, comment below. If you want any topics for us to hit, comment below. I am Daze, Javi Tattoo Theory.
But I thought I was Days.
I'll take.
And Zeke. And we're signing off, baby.
Later.
Later.